Okay. Hey, we're back for another healing talk. And the subject today is how to create the life you'd rather live. And in the process, help create the world you'd rather live that life in. And we want to look at what the ancient teachings have to say about that. And then how the weavings can help a great deal with accomplishing all of that. So, welcome back to another Catastrophe Healing Talk. My name is Helmut. I am here with our friends again, Laura and Laura. Hello.
Hello.
And
Hey.
of course, Kay. Hi, Kay. And before we get started, if you're new here, just like, subscribe, turn notifications on, and share if you want to help us out with the channel. And if you want to hear about what's going on in our world and the things we share and teach and all this kind of stuff, there's a QR code where you can go to join our mailing list. All right. How to create the life you'd rather live from the perspective of the ancients. Kay, you're going to get us started?
Sure. Hmm. What is the life that you would rather be living? Do you really know? Do you have any idea? Does anybody have any idea? What are the things that you would like to see? What would you like to see changed? How do you feel during the day? Are you stressed? Are you happy? Are you really happy? Are you just sort of happy? This modern world is, as we've been saying for a long time, the ancients have been saying for a really, really long time, this world is coming to an end. This whole era, this way of life, this culture is coming to an end. And in this end time, there's a lot of wackiness, a lot of craziness, a lot of bizarre things that don't make any sense, lots of corruption. And we've learned so much corruption through the centuries that it seems normal. It's become the normal. It's the average, it's the everyday, it's the everybody. Where our thinking has been corrupted. So if we want to live a better life, we want things to go better, be more satisfied, be happier, have more real love. Learn actually how to love yourself. How many people out there in the modern world actually love themselves? I think they have a whole lot of reason not to love themselves. Lots of programming to not love themselves. And we see it everywhere, we feel it. All you have to do is turn your attention to try to feel it. It is in the air, it's in the people around you. So, how do you change that? First, you have to learn who you are. That's where a lot of ancient teachings start. And it's even written over this archway to I can't think of the right word. The woman who uh, deems your future, reads your future for you. It's written in stone. Know thyself. So, what does that mean? What does that really mean? Sure, you sort of know a little about yourself, the things you usually think about, your own history and the work you do today, the job, the kind of life you live today, the obstacles you have, the people you have to interact with, the people you have trouble with, etc. But if that's all you know, that's because of the Muggle world. That's what the Muggle world has taught you about yourself. And they teach you don't look any deeper. Don't look any farther. Don't look any deeper. Excuse me. By all means, never feel. Don't go into the feeling quality about yourself. I don't mean just emotions or, your sense of touch, but really, really, really feeling. That's something that's been lost. It's been lost in our world to really feel. But when you do look at yourself in such a way and you let yourself feel what you are, who you are, it's really there. And you do the ceremonies. Like in Katasi, we have a ceremony called a song ceremony. And it leads you to find the truth of yourself. And my teachers, the Hedek, is called the truth of yourself, your song. This is your totality, your spirit, your energy, your thinking, your emotions, your physical body, all the spirit, energy, body, all that's your totality. One thing, your whole totality. What does that feel like? Well, that's what this ceremony is all about. It leads you into finding points in your life where you had huge love or you had a huge happiness or excitement, or you were very, very tiny, but you have a memory of that even though you're 1, 2, 3 years old. You have a memory from that, and you were so ecstatically happy. That feeling, that ecstatic feeling of happy, that's who you are. That's your song. That feeling that goes beyond physical senses, it goes beyond the emotions. It might include them, but it goes past. The ancients say we have a huge amount of feeling ability, feeling sensors, 360 of them to be exact. Spirit senses. And back before the flood, in that culture, and way back before that, they lived a life where they knew how to feel all those things. They could just reach into that feeling in their beingness, in their totality, in their song, and they could feel who they were and what they were. And it's not just this lifetime when you feel that, it's boom, all of a sudden it's multiple lifetimes. It's outside of this time space. It's before you were born and after you die. And when you were in this life here and there, maybe in other lives in other planets, not just here on Earth. It could be so many different places and kinds of experiences. And your song really knows what real unconditional love is. Cosmic, universal, sacred, divine love. That's love with no conditions. Here on Earth in our Muggle life in this time, Love is very conditional. Oh, I'll love you, but you better be good. You better do what I want you to do and be who I want you to be, and do the things I want you to do, and then I'll give you love and attention, and I'll accept you. It's not real love. That's slavery. That's being in a prison. Has nothing to do with who you really are, and that's what our whole culture teaches. In order to be loved, in order to be accepted, in order to be included in things, in order to be okay in other people's eyes. It's so important to be okay in other people's eyes. That's what the culture teaches you. And you're never going to be able to satisfy people who are asleep. You'll never be what they want you to be or what they think they want you to be, because that changes minute to minute. They don't even have a clue on what that is. So no wonder we're not really totally happy. No wonder we're not fulfilled. No wonder we're not at peace. We have trouble relaxing. We have anxiety about everything. If you're working for somebody else, you have a job, and you have to go out and satisfy them. You have to get their approval of you every day. Every day. And if they're paying attention to what you do when you're not at work, maybe you got to toe the line when you're away from work too. That's not fun. There's there's nothing fun or happy or relaxed about that. That produces an enormous amount of constant anxiety. You even have it in your sleep. It comes up, oozes out in your dreams. So we're in this ending world, and we're in a bridge time to be making the new world. A whole new world. We have this opportunity to make a whole brand new world that is completely different than what we grew up in, what this old dying muggle world is. We can make a new world that is not corrupt, that is built on unconditional love, unconditional acceptance. It's built on fairness, self sovereignty, decentralization of all these institutions we have around us. What do you want your world to look like? What do you want yourself to look like in that world? That's the most important. We're always trying to look outside at what we can make something better here, something, or go rah, rah, rah about the whales outside, and we're helping something. That's just holding that sign up with the whales in the middle of the broken world, shaking that sign to people living and working in the broken world, and it doesn't lead to anything. It feeds what's left of the broken world. You feed the beast. You have to step out of the beast, step out of that old dying world, and start trying to dream up what you would really, really like to see. And how do you achieve it? If we truly step out of the old system, the old world with all of its old institutions and all of its old shoulds and have tos, there's a whole nother world out there. There's a whole nother extraordinary list of possibilities of what could be and what is starting to be built. We see it being built today. And even in the money system in the Muggle world, across the planet, their monetary system sucks. It's, it, it is so corrupt. It's corrupt beyond belief everywhere. And it's falling apart. They're all falling apart. They have inflation and major hyperinflation and the runaway taxes and fees and corruption. Boy, just corruption coming out of everything, everywhere, every turn you go. And we're not talking about some poor third world country. We're talking about the whole world and all the countries, including America, the pristine America, was supposed to be really good people. It's falling apart too because they've been just as corrupt as everybody else. And maybe even more so. And it's because of this corruption and what they do with the money system in particular. But that's at the start. Then there's this cascade of other crimes that come out of that lead to war. They need to have a constant problem in order to keep their system of corruption going. They have to have a constant big problem, and it often is war. And we just saw them testing a pandemic. We tried that on for size. That was no good. They have to have these problems, but they're made up. It's all made up, and it's all about the corruption, and it's all about who's going to have the most money, who's going to have the most power to tell everybody else what to do, how to do it. And we've been living in that for thousands of years. Thousands. It goes way, way, way back. It even started in places before the flood. That's why you have books like the Bible say, oh, the flood came to wash the bad people away. They were so corrupt, God just washed them all away. Well, not quite. There was enough of them to survive that when they were starting to build a new world, they brought their corruption with them and they taught everybody else about all these corrupt things. And that includes our food. It includes everything, every part of our lives, everything that we do. Agriculture, that was supposed to be such a gift from the gods. You really look into it, it's not such a gift. And the way they've been doing farming all these years tears the earth apart and ruins the soil. And it's just been getting worse with every century. So what do you want in your new world? My teachers had a phrase, they said, dream the dream. Dream the dream. And when you start dreaming the dream, you're thinking about, what are these other possibilities? What are the things I hate the most about this icky falling apart world? I want to, get out of it, to have it end. You don't want it in your life anymore. Well, what replaces that? How do you replace that? We need to think these pictures and feel them. We need to feel them through, kind of run them like a simulation on a computer. Run it through your mind. Okay, if this is going like this and this and this, is this going to end up well? 10 years from now, 100 years from now, is this the way to go? Or is that going to end up badly in some way as well? Something that we're not seeing right now that builds on itself and ends up bad later. We have to back out of that. Well, you don't want to dream one of those. You want to dream the problems now so that you don't go there. You don't go in that direction. But dream the dreams of of things that are possible. And I know this is going to be controversial. I hope we don't get kicked off the air for it. But I think one of the one of the I think one of the things that's going to help us, and I did readings on this, and the bone readings were utterly, utterly spectacular. And with all the creator type energies, and the spirits and the ancestors, and everything was positive, positive, positive all the way down the line and pouring into this. And that was Bitcoin. Dropped out of the monetary system of the fiat monetary system of the modern world and start learning how to use or how to save your money in Bitcoin. It was the picture I got from the bone reading was it's like it's from some other higher dimension. It's from the influence of the creator influence of the world, from the spirits, or if you're into it, angels, or how whatever your own words are for this supernatural entities that seem to know more about spirituality than we do. Aliens, possibly. That could be an influence. But they seem to influence its creation and its acceptance and its use. And how it was created was an incredible story. And there are videos about it all over the world. There's this man called Satoshi Nakamoto. Nakamoto. And that's an alias. There hasn't been a person with that real name, but he invented it, and in the process of inventing it, he solved some mathematical problems and internet problems, which are really kind of a specific mathematical physics kind of stuff that's out of my neighborhood. But he solved a mathematical problem that couldn't be solved. It's been around for quite a while in mathematics, and lots of people, really brainy people, have tried to solve it, and they say it's absolutely insolvable, but he did. He did. And in doing that, he made a kind of money system, protocols, that's indestructible and private and honest, and it can't be cheated. The list goes on. If you're interested in that kind of thing, please go watch some of those videos. There's people who are quite eloquent, who know all that stuff in their jargon and can tell you all about that. But what I saw in the reading was that it was creating a better future and a better life. And I'm not even quite sure how to put that to words. But it has to do with our legal system. If we build, we probably have to have some sort of legal system to some degree. But all of it, this Bitcoin and the way it helps people live and think, because it's not corrupt, and fiat money corrupts people in their thinking. We've had our thinking corrupted so that our moral compass is destroyed. And with Bitcoin, it puts everything back in the place of where a moral compass should be, with honesty and fairness and self sovereignty, total freedom. And so I saw those things, and I saw this whole legal law kind of system is totally different and not anywhere near as big as what we see today in our modern world, or complex, or convoluted, not corrupt, but fair to each individual, and each individual learning more about themselves. For some reason, people who have gotten into Bitcoin start really pursuing who they are in a real way, a deeper way. Who they are, what that really means, what we're really capable of, what we should inherently have because we are living human beings. What kind of rights should we have? What kind of freedom should we have? And so I see that helping us form our way of thinking, to change, to help uh, all of us inside ourselves to be able to spot the corruption in ourselves as well as others or in society, and not go there, back away from it, and clean it out of ourselves. And one of the things that Katasi is all about, this ancient tradition, you know yourself. In doing that, you heal yourself, and you continue to know more and more about yourself, because your song, your totality is so ancient, and it's so huge, so vast, and you've been so many places and done so many things, and little by little, that just all kinds kind of trickles back into your conscious mind. You remember it. You bring it into this life. You remember it, and life in other times, other places, is so different than what we have here. Or maybe some of your lives were in a place that was really quite horrible, like on Earth in some of our dandy wars, where they really made a mess out of their opponents, and tortured and conquered and killed and destroyed, and all that stuff. And you experienced it all. So you remember that. You remember, like, whoa, we do not want to go there again. That's really bad. That's bad for the earth, bad for us. Your song, your beingness, your truth is made of love. It's made of love and beauty and happiness. And it's brilliant, utterly brilliant. It is tapped into everything. It's connected to everything. It's tapped into the field of everything that's around us. That's where all the knowledge is, in the field, in the cosmos, in us, everywhere, in us, around us, and we can tap into any of that knowledge at any time. Our song taps into that, lives with the flow of that information, and you can reach that part of yourself, that expanded consciousness, and all of that is yours right now, with all that love and all that acceptance, unconditional acceptance of everything, of truly understanding what the human race is capable of, what kind of the popular word today would be superpowers. What are our superpowers? Well, we got some. We're born with them, like some of these other races, because some of our DNA comes from some of these other races with the superpowers. So we have them. We just have them turned off because that's what that the modern corrupt culture has been doing to you. It's turned all that off. We have lived lives, we've had cultures on this planet through the ages that have had these abilities, had this knowledge, this love, this greater intelligence and connectedness. And we can remember that. We can bring the knowledge of that back and birth it again into the new world. So, what do you want? It's up to us, all the individuals and the individuals collected together. Because collected together with the same desire, the same way of thinking, this learning about ourselves and the truth of things, this makes a bonding between all humans on the planet. And this is so much more powerful than the so-called elites that are crushing everything, stealing everything, taking all the resources and monies and everything for themselves and trying to control everybody, control every single thing you think and you do on this planet and how you do it and how everything is done. They want to make a control everything. We would be slaves, complete slaves if they won. But that world is falling apart, and the ancients tell us this is the era. It's this bridge time where this is falling apart. You don't have to do anything to help it fall apart except leave it. If you leave it, it dies. If we all leave that crumbling machine, that crumbling thought form, it dies. It's gone. So all you have to do is leave it, collect together with all of our humanity. We're so much more powerful than them. And they know it. The things that we were capable of are just indescribable. It's like a list, that you'd find in a fairy tale. But it's real. So, ladies and gent, take it away.
I want to share a couple of things. Interesting excursion into Bitcoin. I loved it. There's a lot more. I shared a link to a video that I watched this morning. It's called God Bless Bitcoin. Very well done. So a good place to start. And if you want to learn a lot more about how to build that new life and the new world, we just released Kay's new book, The Weaving Start of a New World. This stripe through here is because this is a proof copy. So on your book, this won't be on there. The QR code you see on the screen is going to get you to Amazon to check out the book. Beautiful,
The book's
Kay.
beautiful. Oops, you're muted.
You're muted, honey.
Sorry about that. The book describes Bitcoin to a T. That's one of the things that I saw in the book, in the bone reading, was that everything these ancients were saying and the Bitcoiners were saying, they're saying the same things. the ancients get a little deeper and a little more spiritual mysticism, off the top, but the main body of everything, they're talking exactly the same. I don't use that word Bitcoin in the book, but it it could be retitled. This is Bitcoin book. This is what Bitcoin is, and that's what the ancient teachings are all about. Trying to bring about a better world, much better world, one that has been told that we can create. It's not going to just angelically drop in our laps. No, they're not all going to do it all for us. We have to do the building. We have to build that new world the way we want it. And we have to build ourselves, heal ourselves, build ourselves the way we want ourselves. Not listening to what that broken culture has told you how to be. It has told you from the day you were born, you have to be this and you have to be that and you have to act like this and you have to do this thing and you're going to grow up to be this kind of a person with that kind of job. And it's described you for you to a T before you ever had a chance to think of being that way. So find out who you really are. That's what being happy and satisfied and fulfilled is all about. That's what the weavings are about. That's what the whole katasi is about. That's what building a new world is about. That's what Bitcoin is about. So, what do you say?
You want me to go, Laura? Or are you ready?
Well, I can go. I want to share that, and I know I've said this before, but as you get to know your song and perceive yourself differently, you start to ask different questions. The questions start to take completely different shape. And, Kay was talking about that. And when you start to ask your questions differently, you start to see where your consciousness and your awareness is going. And you start to see the power of where you're putting your consciousness and your awareness. And you get to choose what's going to be brought into your web of consciousness, your awareness, and what stuff you're going to allow to dissolve out of that awareness. So when she talks about not picking up those backwards turning wheels, those things that aren't working, it's because you're transforming your consciousness and your awareness, and you start to live from that unconditional love. And you can see where the backwards turning wheel stuff is, and you can start having unconditional love be your guide, the win-win-win be your guide to what you're going to help create in our future. And the weavings are a big part of that. You start to weave throughout your day. You start to weave with your every relationship you have. You feel that connection. And yeah, we have a lot more power than we are aware of, because once we learn to select what we're going to be putting our power into, our awareness and our consciousness into, we start perceiving ourselves completely different. We start asking completely different questions. And that's one of the things that Kay teaches us: question everything, because we have all those no-nos, those blind beliefs, those assumptions, expectations, blind beliefs and judgments and arrogance. Like, I have a right to do this, even though, this is what our society thinks. I have a right to do this, and it doesn't matter how it's going to impact the planet. It's not going to matter how it impacts everybody else. That's going to go, that's not dying away. That's leaving. So, yeah, the weavings are just amazing, and learning about your song transforms your consciousness and how you're going to perceive the world. I hope everybody that listens to this and share it and, grow. We have so much potential. We're not victims. We can change the world. We're creators. What do you say, Laura Ketty?
Well, I love talking about change. I'm one of those people who are like change, not afraid of change. And I look back. I just recently had coffee with a woman. We were same age and talking about the diverse backgrounds that we've had. Like I've recreated myself over and over and over again, and each time, I would say I dreamed the dream and I stepped into it over and over again. I wanted something new, and I brought those things to my life over and over again, but didn't mean I brought happiness, because every time I was creating change, I didn't have the song foundation. I was looking at exterior things that look good, and I'd go to that next. It was like I wanted a job in international travel. I got that. And it sucked after the fun was done. I wanted to be an executive. I wanted, these kind of fluence jobs. I got that. And it sucked. And so I reached a point where I was, I had pretty much on paper this amazing life, and I was still unhappy. And so even though I knew how to dream the dream and step into it, create that life, to manifest those things in life, to bring those things to me, the things I was bringing weren't bringing joy. They were still part of this mask backwards turning wheel, and not truly who I was. And it was coming to Katasi and getting the foundation of, not that we're just manifesting our lives, but when we manifest our lives from a place of song, it just, then you don't have to keep recreating your life. It was like in the last 10 years, I finally had a foundation, and that, is constantly exposed to change. Constantly things are breaking apart and being rebuilt. But the foundation is good. I constantly am telling people there's no glass ceiling on happiness. And that's one of the things I learned with Kay. There's no limitation to how much you can love. And there's like no foundation on happiness. There's no glass ceiling, on happiness. If you bump your head on something, it just means it's time to change. You go left or right, and you keep going up. The potential, when you think things can't get better, it's bullshit. It can't. I mean, it really can. It can even get more delicious and more better and happier. And I've seen it. It's a blind belief that what goes up must come down. And so if we start from this song foundation to dream the dream, we start from each of our individual song foundations to dream a dream of a new world. I think we'd be amazed when it's done in song how each of our desires weave together. There's actually, we're not in conflict with each other when we're in song. There becomes this world of balance, and so like Kay mentioned, the need for legalness. I can't see, when I'm in a place of balance and fairness, it's, you're in song. You don't need a whole lot of those things. I see a lot of people afraid, they assume a lot that because I'm nice, I'm taken advantage of a lot, which is really funny, because I swear, the more I'm in song, you see the truth. You don't get triggered, you don't overreact, and you have these, you just don't allow things to take advantage of you. You can nicely exclude them from your life and keep dreaming the dream. And the biggest thing, you can't, what I've found is you can't want the new world hanging on to the old world. It's just, it just doesn't work. I have a great friend who's a futurist, and he wrote a book, The Future You, and some of it was inspired from him listening to Kay, which is great too. And he'll say a lot of times the new you starts on Monday. And you can't, he talks to corporations, and he's constantly telling them, if you want to become this, you got to stop being this. And that starts on Monday. It's just like, it needs to, if you want to have, Fortune 500 clients, you got to stop taking the other clients. If you want these clients, stop taking these clients, but do it on Monday. You can't hang on and hope that this will come holding this. So for us, the weavings is all about that. Kay talking about Bitcoin is all about that. If we want a new world, we've got to stop investing in the old world. We got to find those things that make this new world. We dream the dream and we step into it. And I would add on Monday. Now. Thanks, Kay. I love where my life is. I mean, I'm going for that unlimited happiness.
I love where my life is too. And I think the thing I'm getting the most out of knowing my song is that I'm no longer scared of change. I'm no longer scared because the world is dynamic. It's not static. I think a lot of people hold on to that. They just want it to look familiar. And well, that familiar is the backwards turning wheel. And the only way we're going to change is if we embrace things moving, because that's the way energy is. That's the way love is. It's free flowing. Until we do that, you're stuck trying to hold on to something that's static and old and stale. That I think of water. Yeah, this is good stuff for the heart. It's a good foundation to live from. Thank you, Kay.
Well, the ancients say that as you learn to know yourself, you heal yourself, and you get more and more and more healed. And it isn't like there's a roof to it, like Laura says. The healing just keeps going and getting better, even though you didn't know you had those things there to heal. But they do anyway. And as you do that, you influence the people around you. You might not be teaching them these teachings in a class, and this is what it is, A, B, C, D, and you do this step and this ceremony, and then you don't have to do that, but they learn because you're radiating it out. We're radiating energy out of who we are, what we're doing, what we're being, whether we're asleep and whether we're corrupt or we're in unconditional love or we know our song, or we radiate that out. Those who've had the teachings radiate all the teachings they've had. And if they've done a lot of ceremonies and it's been very helpful for them, they live it, they radiate it out. And as they do that, everybody around them, everything around them, even the trees and the land, the buildings, but especially the people, the humans, of course, your pets, everything, they're picking this radiation up. These other people are picking it up, and it affects them, whether they know it or not. It teaches them. And so little by little, they are changing and growing. And as more and more of us learn more about ourselves, who we really are, what we really are, what that is like, what the feeling of it is like. Teachings all about the feeling of things, not just the thinking of it, but the feeling of it is critical. you don't have the feeling, you haven't gotten the whole banana. So, and as we radiate that out, it's not just local. We're radiating it out in a quantum sense, entangled sense to everybody, everything, because we're connected. We're all connected, and there's no time and space in the world that these radiations are in. This kind of frequency that they have, type of energy that they are. There's no time or space there. So they go instantly everywhere. If you are finding your song and feeling it and loving it and understanding it and learning about it, and you're radiating it out, and you're sitting in California and radiating it out instantaneously in Washington, D.C., people are receiving that information. Every cell of their body, their whole auric field, everything is receiving that information. And you can't help it. They can't help it. You can't stop it. It just is. And that's how we wake up. We wake up out of the stupor. And quite literally, it's a drug stupor for most of the people in the Muggle world, as well as a consciousness stupor. We wake up out of it. It just starts to disappear. We shed it, and we become united in this understanding of what real love is, who we really are, and then who you really are. When you know yourself, you love yourself, you feel, you sense your whole self, you're understanding it. When you look at another person, there's an immediate understanding that they have all those same kind of things. They have a song, and they're ancient, and they're vast, and they're wonderful. They may still be asleep. They may be asleep, but they're extraordinary. They're utterly astounding. And we help, whether we're speaking to them about this or not. We just help because we radiate it out, and we change the world this way. I don't know if you've paid attention to any of the way we get news these days. Nobody's watching news shows on real television anymore. Those things just suck. But the videos on YouTube and other media, and the things people say, and the memes, and if you look for it, you see it. And they're changing about, in the direction of love, real love and caring and real freedom, real true freedom and sovereignty, self-sovereignty. In the Muggle world, we have no sovereignty. There's fiat everything, fiat food, fiat money, fiat housing, fiat merchandise and furniture, and fiat cars, fiat everything. In other words, it's cheap, it's fake, it's pretending to be something it's not. And it's not worth what we pay for it at all. And it hurts us. It hurts the environment, hurts our health. Just take a look at how Muggle food is made, how processed food is made, what it's made from. A lot of it isn't even actual things people consider food, like plants or animal. it's just synthetic, and they eat it. Or it's so processed, it might as well be just plastic, like white sugar. We eat things that are so poisonous. They're so detrimental to our health and our mind and our consciousness. And they're so addictive. They're incredibly addictive. They're intended to be addictive. And that's, I don't know, it kind of sounds conspiracy theory like, but hey, when you go look at the real stuff, you really see that that's really real. It's really happening that way. All these things that are shoved into our life, whether we've asked for it to be this way or not, they're addictive. And we need to come to terms with that. Give up the addiction. When you step away, step out of the backwards turning wheel and start to build something different, you have to give up the addiction, all those addictions. And people look at that and it seems horrifying. To somebody who's really addicted, it's really horrifying because they go through a period of a lot of different kind of withdrawals, chemical withdrawals in their body, psychological, social, spiritual. But we got to step out of it. And the more willing you are to step out of it and find something new and clean and non-corrupt, then the easier it is. The easier, smoother, faster, the easier it is. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank goodness.
A couple of things to close out that haven't made it, things that haven't made it into the cultural psyche yet is we talk a lot about it, and we mentioned it today again, but this world is ending. And this is a hard thing for a lot of people to comprehend, I believe. But it really is. It's not just something we made up. The ancients have been talking about this for a long, long time. Along with that is you can't fix it. You can't fix the system. You have to build an entirely new one. And that's what the weavings are about. That's what they're all about. It's like Laura said, and you all touched on it. It's like you can't just hang on to the old and try to build a new one. It's like Monday is a new day. And you got to start building the new world. And I think that's where we are. And the more we work with this, the more people will realize, yeah, whenever you engage the old system, you strengthen it. It doesn't matter if you fight it or if you help it or whatever you're doing, you strengthen it, and it's gonna spend more time on the deathbed, but it is dying. So letting go and starting to explore how to build a new world, this is a good place to start. The QR code I just saw is still up, so you can go there and check it out. Great show, guys. Thank you. Thanks for joining us live. Beautiful, as always. And we don't have a talk next week because we're going to get together for a shindig, a Katasa shindig. It's going to be great. All next weekend. And a bunch of people are going to come to our house. Yay. but we will be back the following week. Enjoy, be happy, and we see you then. Love you.
Love you all.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.